So this week I'll be talking about potting up for peak performance of your Japanese maples. That could be existing trees or ones that you've just acquired. I'll also be discussing whether it's the right time of year to feed, and if so, what method you might use. Hi there maple fans, and in this series of videos I'll be sharing what I do throughout an entire year on a monthly basis. Please note that these months are based on UK timings, but of course can easily be adapted to anywhere else in the world. So I hope you'll be able to stick with me to the end of this video. I'm going to use these trees that I bought last year and kept in their original pots, and I'll be explaining why, and then what we might do with them. Do we put them into another similar sized pot, a much bigger pot? Do we indeed keep them in their existing pots inside another pot? So all of this will be covered in this week's video. So the first thing to say is that the spring, this time of year in the UK, is a really good time to repot your trees. They're just coming into leaf, they're starting to grow. The worst of the frost is out the way as well, which is really worthwhile. The worst of the wet, damp weather's out the way. So what we're looking at is the option of whether to repot these trees or should we in fact leave them. So taking the tree one by one, we can see because I left that in its little pot for the entirety of last year, so I bought these about the same time last year as I recall, it's absolutely packed full of roots, and over the winter period all of those roots kind of wrap around that little pot, create a really good cocoon, and kept and protected the root ball that's at the bottom of the tree. So the tree's looking really healthy, it's starting to leaf out. The question is, what size pot should I use? So in the first instance it barely fits in the pot. In this instance, I'd probably go to the second one there because it will take it. It's got a really good root system. It's looking excellent. I think a sort of double pot increase would be absolutely fine. As you'll see as we move through the video, that is not always the case though. So yes, that size pot would be good. But just reflecting on how much extra volume is actually you're putting in terms of compost, and indeed if you go one pot size higher here, then actually there's an awful lot of added volume. What we really don't want to do is go to a massive size of pot, because the amount of extra compost you're adding is way too much. That could cause, if there's rainy weather, to the trees to get really bogged down, and they'd have absolutely no chance to get to the same situation as they were last year, where the roots are absolutely wrapped around that root ball. So really important consideration. Just one pot size up, as I've shown, maybe another one, but only occasionally. So just a note on feeding, I tend to weigh out a standard spoonful. This is a UK sort of dessert spoon that weighs about 10 grams. It just helps me get the amount right. On the left hand side there you've got the feed sprinkled onto the surface, and on the right there's the bark, and eventually obviously I'll cover up the whole of the top there. Please note that some animals, they do like the taste of the food. So just be careful in case your pet, like Snowy there, may start eating. So here's a bucket of mixture that I've made for the compost I use, and that's a mixture of half ericaceous compost, or a slightly acidic compost, mixed with a sort of mature plant compost that's much heavier and had some weight to the pot so they don't fall over so much. Bear in mind that I'm actually not going to take away any of the compost, the original compost that the trees were provided in. This is only adding to it. So what the trees come with is a very free draining compost that the nurseries like to use. I'm just gradually introducing it to something more substantial, and that's works very well for me. Another topic that comes up very frequently is, why do you need to use acidic compost? And the answer is, actually you don't, but there's no harm in making the compost slightly acidic. However, if it's alkaline, this will not promote the growth of the trees. In fact, it might kill them. So adding the acidy compost, just make sure that whatever of the more mature compost you're using is going to be absolutely fine. I've mixed a load here. Again, it's quite surprising how much extra compost you're putting in these pots, so having a good supply pre-mixed is really beneficial. What I've also got, I'm just showing you there, is little squares of landscape fabric, which I like to use. I'll cut them up into pieces and just add it to the bottom of the pot really. So I'll then fill the pot with compost, not to the very top as indicated, but just the little rim in the inside there. That's very important, because when you're watering, I tend to flood the pot right to the very top and let the water permeate through. That way I know it's getting just the right amount to soak the compost beautifully without wasting a load of water actually, and just does the job quite neatly. So now moving on to an actual tree. Very good to just remove some of the loose material at the top there. I mean, we're trying to inhibit weeds with some bark mulch later, so obviously if you can get rid of them at this point, that's very useful. But please do note that if you've got roots sort of growing like that and flaring everywhere, that's absolutely fine. It really is. We can just sort of bury some of that, but if some of it stands out, it all adds to the attractiveness and the appeal, to be honest. If you've got some moss on there, that doesn't hurt at all as well, so we can leave that. But yes, it's just an opportunity really to sort of give it a really good tidy up. And just to say, if you'd like to come with me on my Acer journey, please do like and subscribe to my little channel. It really helps. I've also recently set up a Patreon site, so that's a great way of supporting me too, and help out with some of the costs of my excursions really. There's also the offer of some personal help, if you'd like it, either in a group format or on a one-to-one basis. So method one we'll talk about is slip potting. So just offering the tree into this pot size. It is a little bit more than I would normally go for, but again, the roots are so well developed, I'm sure it'll be fine. So what I'm going to do is apply some compost to the base, as you'll see, and just offer the tree back inside the pot again. The objective being to get the level of the existing compost to the neck, and you probably can just about see we're slightly below it. So the idea is we don't want to sort of create too much gap at the top. We want to get it just right. So I'm just taking this pot back out again. I'm then going to give the compost a little bit of a top up to try and get the levels right. And what you'll see me do shortly is to infill around the outside of the plastic technical pot and sort of firm it down and kind of make it a sort of upside down sandcastle really, I suppose, where you've got a gap where the pot will be, but all will be revealed quite shortly. Just a quick note before I forget, at this point I wouldn't be feeding these plants at all. The compost itself that is supplied usually comes with sort of 3 to 6 months worth of extra nutrients, and it's quite enough for Japanese maples, to be honest. They don't require that much nitrogen in particular, and they're going to survive really well on the added compost that I've used. So those trees, no, I wouldn't add any more feed. They don't need supplementing at all really. Of course, the existing trees that I've got in the garden where I'm not repotting, that's a different story. So I'll get some Acer feed and feed those as you know, expressed on the instructions really. But I find a dessert spoon to be a very useful amount for most of my trees. It doesn't have to be entirely accurate, doesn't have to be ridiculously so. The big decision that you need to make though is to whether to feed every couple of weeks with a liquid feed. Absolutely fine doing that, but I have over 70 trees, so that unfortunately would become a bit difficult. So the sort of powdered Acer feeds that I use, I find very useful. One feed at this time of year is all we need really, and there we go. So back to the tree now, and you can see that I've firmly pressed down around it. And here's the fun part, you can gently lift this out, easy with two hands. I said I've got my phone in the other one, but with a little bit of wriggle and a tweak, we pull the pot out, and then we've got a beautifully shaped hole that's basically entirely what we need. Good not to rotate this, because I've, keep the orientation of the technical pot the same, and then all I need to do, and I'm struggling a little bit, but there we go. Off comes that pot, so we can pop that out of the way, and then offer that in there, and in a very satisfying way it fits perfectly. Why do it this way? This causes absolutely minimum interference with the root system at all. All the existing compost is maintained, the sort of free draining stuff. We're kind of like feeding it something or putting compost around it that's a bit more substantial, ready for it to grow into. So just to recap, the beauty of this system is that because it's the spring, it'll grow rapidly during the spring period, and then there's another growth spurt in the autumn for Japanese maples, so those roots are going to start wrapping down around the bigger pot and retain that kind of insulation and protection, ready for next year. What you've got here is the mini bark, or that I apply as a mulch to the top. Really good at inhibiting weeds, really good at stopping evaporation, just a really good investment. I also take the mini bark off my old trees and just apply new stuff to sort of tidy it all up really. It's not very expensive, it's absolutely fine, so it's a little job that I like to do personally. So here's an example of a tree I bought last year where I omitted to put any bark on it. Just came across this, and I'm always honest on this channel, and this is the result really. So my mistake, those weeds are, sapping nutrients from the roots that would otherwise go to the Acer. Just seems like a really good idea to manage it better and get them so I don't have to remove them all. So that's just showing you the system there. So I'll absolutely flood the pot to the brim and leave it alone. There will be enough water. And believe you me, when you're sort of watering many plants over and over again, this saves an awful lot of time. The bark will float a little bit. It's absolutely no problem whatsoever. And what you're looking for are these little bubbles to appear, because that's sort of really showing that the moisture is penetrating through what could be very dry compost. So if you try and water a plant and it's sort of sitting there not doing very much water wise, then you need to go back 10 minutes later and re-water so it really soaks through. So we have another tree that I've just taken out of its pot. The tree itself is really healthy. There's no problem whatsoever. As you can see, it looks quite developed. But this is a really interesting point. I really wouldn't pot based on the size of the tree on top. You really want to pot based on the root system, to be honest, because that's going to kind of outgrow itself and run into trouble. So in this instance, I'd use one of the smaller pots available here, because that's going to sort of make it a lot more snug. It's going to make it perform better. And I know it sounds crazy, but if you pop these on in smaller intervals, they really do better in the long run. They grow faster. They need to be in a nice protected environment, really, not in a great big pot that's going to drown them. So that will go straight in the pot there, and I'll just squeeze compost round it. I won't use the slip potting method. Absolutely fine, dressed with some bark on the top as usual, and I'm sure that will do very well indeed. So let's take another look at another tree, and bear in mind these are all bought at the same time, and it's the variation in how fast the roots grow is really quite profound. So many times people say, well, when do I repot Japanese maples? When they need repotting, because the roots are telling you that. So here it's okay, it's developed quite well, but it really isn't very full, and even though the top seems to be doing okay, it may be just a slower growing tree. There's just variation really. So I don't really want to repot that at all. I want it to stay in the technical pot for another season, but it doesn't look that pleasant. It may get blown over. So a bit like it's been last year, to be honest with you, I'm going to get a pot, pop it in the middle, getting the sort of height about the same, and just go around and fill it with loads and loads of pebbles really, so there's excellent drainage. So this will give you the aesthetics of it being in a larger pot, when in actual fact it's not over potted. Said it many times, putting your Japanese maples in a pot that's too big is one of the very worst things you can do. Being patient using smaller pots is very effective indeed, and this is extra relevant if you're buying cheap maples from supermarkets and such, because they're not quite as durable as some of the others. So here we go, it's sitting there in situ. What you don't want though is those, I think during the summer months, that to get really hot. So I'm just going to put the mulch over the pebbles as well as the technical pot as well, for aesthetics really. I mean, why not? Then I can just give the tree inside a really good watering. It's going to be really well protected from frost next year if the root system isn't quite that well developed. And it's just a rather more pleasant way of displaying your trees.